We're settled in for the afternoon in one of my favorite places in the whole world. I call it the Back Valley Stand. It's a big double. I'm keeping it quiet because we're at the edge of a big bedding area, and there could be deer bedded real close to me here. So I'm going to keep this brief. I'm really happy to be out here. It's almost like a homecoming every time I get a chance to come out here for the first shot of the season. And I usually leave it till the season progresses a little bit. I come in, I have a quick look around, hunt it maybe one evening with the bow or two, and then I pull out and I wait for the shotgun hunt. But this is a great spot. Stick with us. We'll see if we can't put something on the ground here tonight.
There was plenty of deer movement, and it was early in the season, so I was in no hurry to bring the evening to an end.
We're in that Back Valley Stand this morning. Same as last night. Had a full moon overnight, so real cold. All the frost is melting off of the leaves and dripping down now and everything. It's real nice, but not real productive for deer hunting. I think we're gonna pull out of here, go back to the house, get something to eat, maybe try again this afternoon. Well, we had a weird morning. First thing, I had a coyote come trotting down the trail, and for no reason, switched ends and gone. I hadn't even moved or anything yet. Had a chickadee land on my hat, and then I had just said we were gonna leave, we're gonna pack everything up. And I look up on the ridge, and there's two bucks there, same 6 and 8 point that I've been watching a little bit around the property this year. They're not real big bucks, but anyway, they kind of wandered off, and now we're gonna pull out and head home. It's a cold, rainy, miserable morning, so I thought I'd climb into my blind here. We're down in a nice valley with a ridge going right past us, covered in apple trees, so it's always good. There's always deer traffic. Let's see if we can't put something on the ground here on a cold and miserable, rainy October morning.
After being in the blind for a while, these two little button-buck brothers made some risky decisions, as young boys will do when curiosity gets the better of them. Perhaps they just wanted to get in out of the rain. Closed captioning in today's episode is brought to you by CANUCK.
Well, I was sure glad to have this nice dry blind to sit in. Sitting in this valley is just beautiful. I've taken several deer out of this valley before, and it's always been productive. As you saw, I think those two deer were a little bit wet. They were tired of getting wet. They wanted to come on in here and climb in the blind with me. It just goes to show you. I put this blind in about a month ago and brushed it all in, and they walk right by it now. It's nothing to them. They've adjusted to it. They've accepted it as part of the landscape now, so it's not a big deal to them. I'm going to close it all up, get out of here in between rains, maybe get back to my truck before I get another soaker. Yeah, we'll try this one again. I'm sure this is going to be a winner this year. Well, it's opening day of the Ontario shotgun season here, 4th of November. As you can see, it's a beautiful day. I sense a theme happening here this year. The weather's been really bad, pretty tough. But I'm gonna sit here as long as I can. It's cold, a little bit of windy, a lot of rain. I'm about half soaked now, but I'm gonna stick it out and see if I can get something going here. The rut's in full swing. The chase phase is on, so stick with me. See if I can put something on the ground.
The ground was saturated, but my spirits were lifted when I caught movement to the right of my stand.
That's a good one for the freezer. That buck, this morning when I came in, I thought I heard a grunt, but I couldn't say for sure. And then above me on a ridge in front of me, I saw a buck a little while ago. I think he walked into my scent plume and turned and went the other way. I gave him a couple of buck grunts, a little bit of a challenge grunt, and some doe bleats. And then a little while later, that one shows up behind me. Now, I'm not positive that that's the same buck, but it could be. They can go around me here because there are ridges around me here. I'm just making sure. Yeah, he's down. I think that was a good shot. I hope I got it all in frame for you folks, and everything had happened pretty fast. He showed up and boom, I had to take him.
Well, there's not much of a tracking job to do here. I pretty much saw where he dropped, and I can see him laying right over here. He's just laying in this tall grass. Well, here he is. He's a huge-bodied animal. Not a monster rack, but a good rack. Really happy to have him. It was a great hunt this morning. Rain and crappy weather, but as soon as the rain let up, he was wandering around looking for does. I saw him and another buck and that doe. So I mean, they're on their feet. It goes to show you, even when it's crappy weather, it only let up for a little bit, and he was all of a sudden there. I mean, you saw it. I didn't have a lot of time for pre-roll or anything. I apologize for that, but I bleated at him. He stopped. I shot. He only went about 25 or 30 yards and crashed. Yeah, perfect. He'll go nicely in my freezer. Me and my friend Norm, the landowner, he'll enjoy it. So we're happy to get a deer like this when we can get them. This portion of today's episode is brought to you by BERGARA. Our barrels make the difference. Now that's a rub. tree's as big as my thigh almost.
Well, I'm in the creek bottom for an afternoon hunt. On the way in, I saw 8 deer, and a tree that's the size of my thigh just ripped up on all sides. As the old saying goes, a big buck can rub small trees, but a small buck can't rub big trees because he can't get his preorbital gland against the tree. So stick with me. Maybe he'll show up in here this afternoon, and we'll get a chance to take him.
The weather granted us a reprieve, and things were about to get interesting. Conditions seemed to go from bad to worse as snow and sleet began to fall.
Oh, that temperature dropped. Whew. I'm gonna stick it out though, because that may get them on their feet.
The sun broke through a hole in the clouds, and there he was. This portion of today's episode is brought to you by PSE Archery.
Well, I don't think he's going to move. I think that's it's safe to say that he's done. So the first shot I had to shoot through a little bit of brush. I hope everything is clear and you folks get to see him well. As he's coming in there, he's coming in, he's following that doe. She's ahead of him a little bit. She steps out on the trail where I came in, and she kind of hesitated a little bit, but you know, I'm wearing knee-high rubber boots and I'm spraying down real good and everything, so it wasn't too bad. And then when he stepped into a little clear spot, I was afraid that they were going to go the other way, so I cracked him through this brush, as I said. Little bit of, you know, tree limbs, twigs. Sometimes those sabots can be a little funny when you shoot through a little bit of brush, so I wanted to get a chance to anchor him if I could. So the second shot, he stopped. Just fatal mistake, you know. Sometimes they are so fixed on the task at hand when the rut's on that they don't know what's happened. I'm pretty sure the first shot hit him and went through his lungs, but he just stopped and stood there. And when he did that, that was my chance. I took another shot and anchored him. I don't want him, I took a high shoulder shot. I didn't want him running and diving into this creek. It's freezing cold. I don't want to have to go swimming in there in my skivvies. And you folks at home don't want to see that either. So I'm going to start packing up my stuff here, get down, and go over and have a look at him. So that buck was standing right here somewhere, right on this trail. So I'm just going to have a look here. I don't think he went far. I think I anchored him pretty good. Oh. Oh my goodness. This is a huge deer. I don't know what to say. I want to get my hands on him, but I sure want to show him to you folks too. This is a monster deer. Let me pull this deer out of here and let you have a look at him. I can't even believe it. This is a true monster 10-point. Well, here he is. I couldn't be happier. This is a huge buck. This thing has got a monster-sized body on it. I can hardly hold his head up. Just a monster. He's wide, typical 10. Got a crab claw sort of thing going on there. He's real heavy mass. Really happy to have this buck. I knew he was in here. I showed you the rub tree there on the way in. There's tracks and droppings everywhere in here. This buck is running does in there. I mean, he's been chasing them around in here. You can tell everything is all tore up. And I knew there was a good buck in here, so I was really happy when I saw him coming through the brush there. I was kind of worried that he might step on that trail and then head for parts unknown. And the problem with that is he gets his back to you. I don't take those rear shots. I mean, it's just not ethical. You're just asking to wound a beautiful, magnificent buck like this. So I had to wait until he was sideways, and when he was broadside to me, I took the shot. Well, as I said, I've come to know here now, looking at this buck, that, as I said, those sabots, sometimes they'll deflect if they're in the brush. So I hit him low the first shot. He bucked. It looked like he was hit through the lungs. He was hit a bit low, and then the second shot, I was glad to take it. All I had was just his neck and head, and so I gave him a whack, and he went down in a heap, and that was the end of that. He's just, I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier. He's going to go on the wall in the studio at home, and I'll be happy to have him there. Thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in next time for more exciting hunting action on Anthony Dixon's Line of Sight.